Hello, Wendy's. Welcome to our District Manager Period Recognition and Benchmarking video. Now, each period, I like to cover a few key points from last period, look ahead to next period, and then my favorite part of my job, highlight and recognize great District Manager performance out in the field. But you all know that by now, so let's jump right into it. Today, I want to jump into some best demonstrated practices around breakfast. Then we have some eye-opening facts and statistics related to restaurants that are engaged in the Wendy's University and those that aren't. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Finally, we'll wrap it up with our district manager recognition. So let's talk breakfast. By the time you watch this video, I will have the pleasure of completing 59 Wendy's Done Rights visits, and over 30% of those visits have been during our critical and incredibly important growth day part, breakfast. Now, over the course of those visits, it's been very, very clear the opportunities that we have and this need for a paradigm shift to drive sales during this day part. Now, to make it simple, our breakfast customers want speed and convenience. Now, if we execute our products, we beat the competition, and that gives us a great foundation to build sales. Our job is, as operators, is to be ready to deliver speed and give our guests the convenience they need during this busy rush to work and or school in the morning. Now, that being said, the opportunities that we have been seeing in the field are two simple things: batch cooking and dressed coffee. These two are the most common, and they might just be the most important things to our guests as they're looking for quick breakfast during our day part one. Team, we have to be ready for our guests. And a key way to make sure we are is to batch cook. Now, along with being ready, we have to deliver convenience. Have you ever tried to dress coffee in your lap while driving a car? If you haven't, let me tell you, it's incredibly hard. And this is what we're giving our guests as we're trying to build our breakfast business. Now, if you don't think conveniently dressed coffee versus packets of sugar or cream would determine if a guest comes back or not, just look at the line across the street at the Frozen Arches. They actually do dress every single coffee every single day automatically, no matter what. I'm telling you, team, from experience, it's so incredibly disappointing to get this in the drive-thru of a quick service restaurant. A restaurant that I'm trusting to get in and out and get to work or school on time without fuss. Now, I want you to think of it this way. Picture this with me, okay? Potential guests, every day, they're driving down the street in front of your restaurants each and every day, and while they're driving, they're constantly evaluating risk. They're evaluating how risky it is to pull into your parking lot and spend that hard-earned dollar. First, how will it taste? Well, if done right, we know that we win in that evaluation. Fresh, never frozen, fresh, made to order sandwiches, etc., right? We win hands down over our competitors on taste. Low risk if executed. Now, if we don't execute and we're inconsistent, the risk goes up every time they have a bad experience. Now, the second thing our guests are looking for is speed and accuracy. They're asking, can I get in and out, and did I get what I ordered? If you're not prepared and inaccurate, again, that risk goes up. Now, lastly, especially at breakfast, it's all about convenience. Guests ask themselves, can I reach in that bag and grab a hot, crispy fry or potato wedge while I'm driving with my knee and doing my makeup in the rearview mirror and screaming kids in the back trying to get to school and work on time? You see what I'm saying? Now, let's look again at that coffee visual. How risky is this? Seriously, figuring this out while trying to get down the road is problematic at best. Even if customers like dressing it themselves, they still have to pull over to make this happen, or even worse, they stay in your drive-through lane while they do it. Not to mention, we hope they're not stirring it with their finger because we forgot the spoon, right? Team, let's just make a pact right here, right now. Dressed coffee is important and must be executed consistently to win at breakfast. Now, our guests are keeping a running evaluation of risk. Evaluate, lower the risk, and don't make this choice for them. Okay, I'll get off my dressed coffee soapbox and hop over to batch cooking with bin charts. Now, I mentioned earlier that speed is imperative during day part 1, and it's kind of hard to fix speed when you're waiting 3 minutes on sausage, right? Unfortunately, I've been in more than a few restaurants where I run into this scenario. Now, working with managers, we look at the bin charts, and let's just say, for example, over the 2-hour hold time for sausage, we should have 30 sausages on hand. And when we look in the holding drawer, we only have 10. Literally jaws drop when I suggest we should drop 20 sausages right away. Their gut instinct is to cook less more often and fresh. Heck, it's on our walls, right? Wendy's spins off of one word, and that's fresh. But let me tell you, batch cooking is fresh. And it's key to driving sales during day part 1. Now, if we're out of product, guests have to wait. If guests have to be pulled forward, trust me, that Risco-meter is ticking up. And while they're waiting, they see the same thing across the street at the frozen arches that we would see if we looked over there. Drive-through lines moving fast and dressed coffee to boot, but I digress. Again, batch cooking is the key to building breakfast sales. And remember, bin charts only give you an average. So if you only want average sales, build to average. If you want to build sales, though, build over your average. Let me leave you with this one thought, and then we'll move over to We Learn training. You do the math. If your hold time on sausage is 2 hours, how many times should we be grilling sausage at breakfast? I'll give you a second to figure that out. Okay, do the math. You got it? So let's see. We open at 6:30, serve breakfast till 10:30 in most cases, right? Got it? 2 times. Yes, 2, that's it. Just think of it. Your grill team member is only grilling sausage twice a day. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? Of course, you'll end up grilling 3 or 4 more times as you build sales, but you get the point. I want to encourage you all, have your teams lean into and trust the bin charts and batch cooking. The breakfast business model is developed and designed to grow sales through great tasting products, of course, and batch cooking. This batch cooking allows you to be ready for the guests and keeps your grill position free to work on other opening duties. If you have the same approach at breakfast that you do the rest of the day, less, more often, fresh, you'll end up managing down to your business. Rest of day, it's so important to operate that way. But in those day parts, we've built a solid, trusted business over the last 50 plus years. Breakfast is new, and we must lean into our bin charts and batch cook, trusting that the products are better than the competition. And if we can deliver speed and convenience, we will win. All right, now quickly into some statistics related to We Learn training. Now I have some graphs here that speak to the importance of the engagement and the proper training tools in Wendy's systems. Taking the 168 locations I have and ranking them all simply by crew certifications. Basically, restaurants that are engaged in utilizing the proper training systems and ones that, for whatever reason, are not. Ranking this way, the results are staggering. In fact, based on these results, if I were a GM or a district manager or a franchisee, I would drop everything I was doing, and I would immediately mirror these results and execute We Learn training. Take a look at what I found now that I have a few months of tracking under my belt. First, let's look at a chart that compares We Learn training against customer count and same restaurant sales. Now, let me ground you in this graph. On the left-hand side, you'll see percentages with 0 or flat right there indicated in the middle. Blue represents year-to-date customer counts, and green indicates year-to-date same restaurant sales. The numbers in the middle indicate We Learn crew training certifications, starting with restaurants on the left that have less than 5 certifications on average. Our target there in the middle of 13, and then all the way on the right-hand side, restaurants that have 20 certifications on average or more. Now, as you can see, this is an amazing correlation between engagement and training and the result. Again, looking at this graph alone, I would hit pause on this video and call everyone on my team and say, start now. Let's properly engage in training and start plugging away at this number. Under 5 certifications, down 3.1 in sales. Over 20 certifications, up 8.6 in sales. My gosh, the results are staggering. But wait, there's more. Let's just simply add to this chart speed of service throughput. Wow, there's a 50-second difference in throughput speed of service from restaurants that are engaged in training and ones that don't. This is an incredible image to look at. Looking at the left of this chart, down in sales, down in traffic and throughput, speed of service so high. I wouldn't want any part of the left-hand side of this chart. Now let's move to one last graph here and put overall satisfaction against this training rank. Same format with a little different layout. Green here's overall sats, blue is taste, red is in the background is the dreaded zone of defection. Now I think it's obvious at this point that engaged and trained restaurants are experiencing higher sales, but more than likely it's a result of much higher guest satisfaction and lower zone of defection. But I want you to see something specifically here that happens with taste and OSAT on the chart. Both with restaurants that train at 20 plus on the right and the ones that train under 5 on the left. You see in the restaurants that are not engaged in our branded Wendy's training program, the taste is much higher than overall satisfaction. I believe this speaks to our 50-year history and reputation and the reason we all bought into Wendy's. Again, never frozen, fresh made, etc. These are the guests that love Wendy's but are disappointed in the experience. Now, if you look all the way to the right with the restaurants that are highly engaged in the training program, you see a flip here where OSAT actually takes over taste from the guest perspective. This team, please see this. This is where you get that ever so important loyalty and heavy user. This is that magic that drives sales. Now, I know we've spent some extra time here today on these two important points, and I really appreciate if you've watched all the way through. Like I've said, though, I'm spending more time in the field, and two, they're starting to add up. Patterns are starting to emerge, and the data is clear. Let's dedicate ourselves to properly training our team members. Do you know the stat that's not in these charts today? Turnover. I hope to start getting turnover numbers soon, but I know from previous extensive retention research that one of the largest benefits from properly training our teams and holding it to a value, no matter how much time it takes, no matter how inconvenient it might be, especially when you're shorthanded, the largest benefit you see is a fun and energizing work environment that teams want to work in, which results in dramatically lower turnover. Now, I think that leads up perfectly into some recognition. But before we do that today, I want to say one last thing about this training topic. I don't ever want to be the guy that just says, here's the stats, go do it. I will always be and will always strive to be the guy that can also provide some insight and encouragement into that $1 million question, and that's the how. How do we once and for all get out of this 5 to 10 certifications for our restaurants and drive this number above 13, above 15, hell, above 20. Now, if you want some ideas on how, and you haven't been hanging out with me on some of these WDRVs, I'd love the opportunity to share some of these things I've done in the past and have witnessed working. Please reach out to me anytime, and I would love to share my thoughts on how. Now, with that being said, it's on to my favorite part. Recognizing our hard, amazing district managers out there in the field. And what a perfect place to begin, right? The pillar of a fun and energizing working environment where we have recognition for we learn execution. And new in 2021, we've added voice of customer, health and safety, friendliness, and cleanliness, as those are all drivers of this culture in our restaurants. Now, congratulations, George Ihaoba with Legacy Restaurant Group. Great job leading with an average of 15 certifications for your crew, 12 for managers. You can't overlook that friendliness score of 86.5, so great job, George. Okay, on to the pillar of profit means growth, where we track same restaurant sales and customer counts, but now new to 2021, we're putting a huge emphasis on mobile sales, as just like breakfast, this is a huge growth opportunity for us. I want to congratulate Jennifer Wright with Cotty Foods. She's leading in this pillar with 10% mobile mix, which is amazing. 23% positive sales, as well as positive customer counts. Great job, Jennifer. I'm sure we'd all agree that it all starts with culture and results follow. So thank you for your hard work and leadership. Now let's see who's big in breakfast for period 2. This is where we simply track breakfast percent of sales and then overall SAT speed during day part 1. Leading in this pillar is again Philip Stevens with Hamra. Great job again, Philip, and keep leading the charge into breakfast domination. One of your locations just had a record week, and I know breakfast plays a big part of that, so great job. Now moving to the pillar of great restaurant experiences, where we track overall guest satisfaction, that zone of defection and speed. Leading this pillar this month is Scott and Dirk, again out in Oklahoma City. Their overall leading OSAT rating of 82.8 is hard to beat, but without taking anything away from Scott and Dirk, what they've been able to do out there with their group. I want to give a shout out to Eric Miller in Legacy, Stephen Thomas and Meredith Holt and Meritage, and David Brown with Cotty Foods, as they all have 6 or more locations that they look over, and they've been performing on the top of this list consistently. Now it's a little harder to operate 6, so I want to make sure I call out and congratulate them as well. Same here in our pillar of fast food done right. There's a similar story with this group leading the way again out in Oklahoma. This category is really driven by taste, but more specifically fry taste, and that 84.5 fry taste with George and Eric Miller really stands out for me. Great job, everyone, for driving this incredibly important category of fast food done right. Now, onto the final 2 categories where I want to recognize the overall top district manager for period 2. This is when you combine all 5 pillars. And a new category with this video that I want to call out is our movers and shakers. When you take the rolling last 3 periods as a baseline and see who's made the largest jump or improvement, I'm excited to recognize Holly Cutting with Windspoke in central Kansas, in western Kansas, with a huge turnaround, with momentum only getting better since these numbers even came out. Great job, Holly, and your team with Stacy out in Kansas. You all are doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate your hard work. Keep it up. I also don't want to miss Shandy Hernandez. What a great job with consistent period over period progress in her district. Shandy is a new district manager, and wow, what a great job you've done transitioning into this role, and what great support, of course, you have with the Legacy team. So thanks so much, you guys. All right, you all have been waiting for this, and I know this video is a bit long, and you really have been waiting for this one. But the top district manager for period 2 is a back-to-back winner. Please help me congratulate Jennifer Wright with Cotty Foods for topping this list once again in period 2. Now, hey, you have your work cut out for you. As I'm recording this, you just opened a brand new restaurant in Manhattan, Kansas, so keep it up. Keep that culture going, keep leading the way, and wow those guests. So thanks so much, Jennifer. All right, team, that's it for period 2. Batch cook, dress those coffees, and let's really tackle this training once and for all. These numbers don't lie. The results are real. Go take your spot as the top performer through training as a foundation for your district. Until next time, thanks so much and take care.